Hey, hey, hey. Alright, I'm live again because I need to train some levels in zombies here. So I need to get some levels. It's not going to be anything too interesting, but. Oh, you get a new weapon when you get the. Oh. Does that thing have a saw blade? Holy shit, I want that. I want to try that out. Should I change to. Okay, let's just play. So I'm going to be doing Liberty Falls, as I like to do. Let me set the thumbnail for this stream. So I'm probably going to be watching videos while I play this. I don't think I'll be talking the whole time. Because, yeah, I'm just training for levels. So there we go. Elon Musk has a lot to say today.
Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be trying out my new state-of-the-art farm by Colorado.
I'm in the mansion, command center. Injured, but intact. Most everyone else is, well, you guys.
Fox News propagandist Laura Ingalls is warning Donald Trump if Democrats win big in 2026, you are going to get yourself in. Let's take a look at this video.
Budget, and I can tell you for this next fiscal year, we're going to be taking a flamethrower to the waste of the Elon Musk.
Better because these midterms don't go the right way. We're looking at, Democrats are planning to impeach President Trump. That is the truth. The investigations are going to start, and they're going to go to town on you all, on the Republican Party. So, and again, you got here 5 minutes ago. Look, he's already getting the wrangle treatment.
What I'm struggling with here is the idea this is some Democratic plot to impeach Trump. It's plotting as if there's a secret cabal of Democratic operatives huddled in some back room, maybe with cigars, maybe with gummies, talking about the plan. And it makes it sound kind of like a grand conspiracy. Now, should Trump be impeached? Of course he should. I did a video a week after Trump was back in office. He's done 5 different things but with the Senate actually convicted, absolutely not. Now, 2026 is a long way off. A lot can happen between now and then, right?
Hey, TC. That emote is called sheltering.
You're handling this well.
Trump has the House and Senate firmly in his grip. And unless Democrats can somehow crack the Republican loyalty,
I'll tell you the same thing I told
Trump,
my ex during my last
attempting
CPI.
to impeach Trump is going to
It'd be
be
really
another
nice to keep the same
pointless
screw on me for another day.
deserve what a pointless performance that is. The unfortunate
nothing.
reality
Really? What's the catch?
is that the Republican Party is made abundantly clear that they're going to defend him. Whether he's indicted, whether he's caught on tape admitting to crimes, which, by the way, all of those things have already happened. We know that the lawyers
I wonder what kind of cheddar I could score moving these.
but now we have to act all shocked. Oh, Democrats are trying to impeach Trump if they take over in 2026. And now it's a witch hunt, and Trump is going to start selling impeachment survivor. Remember the whole thing. We've already said the guy deserves impeachment based on his first office. But it's not a secret thing. It's obvious. It certainly doesn't go anywhere under the current political environment. And this, if we zoom out, we've talked many times over the last decade about how checks, balances, norms have completely changed. And I write about this a little bit in my forthcoming book, which is that the reason we talk about
I swear this takes longer every time.
isn't because of some
Not that I care.
nostalgic
Okay, I do care.
way pointless rules of decorum and etiquette. Kind of the stuff that Trump has done is not the political equivalent of putting your napkin on the table before you're done eating in the world of etiquette. Right? The reason that it's such a critical failure to explore is that when we talk about what some call the perfect nature of how the framers of the Constitution set up checks
I
and
promise you,
balances,
boss, I can be
we
a much
learned
bigger
they
trick
weren't
than you,
quite
so don't fuck with me.
because they assumed something about the American people. The checks and balances, as established by the founders, assumed that Trump would never be a reality because the American public would never be so dumb. They would never fall for it. And what we learned, and one of the things that I kind of pointed out in my segment about, like Plato, I'm questioning whether democracy is the best system, sort of cut and shoot, right? I still think it is, but it has real problems, which is the incompetence ultimately end up in part the reason that the norm breaking does go to the degree to which the checks and balances established by the framers simply won't cut it when it comes to a population like the one we have right now and its willingness to put someone like Donald Trump back in office. So that's really the point. It's not just pointless, like the French politesse. It has real impact. Now, on the bonus show today, we are going to talk about how inflation is lower than expected in February. This is good news. I have made it abundantly clear. I have a perspective on this show. It is a left-wing perspective. But I am not going to deceive you, at least not deliberately. If I do it accidentally, I'll apologize and correct myself. I am not going to deceive you and play political games with the economy. We saw inflation 2.9 when Biden left office. It went up to 3. It is now down to 2.8. This is happening to Trump. We will discuss it on today's bonus show. I also want to talk about the California governor's race. 484 has stepped into the governor's race in California. This also will
Bonus points.
Mind your head. We got low-flying corpses.
Full power. Max armor.
Rolled them up like a carpet. much going on up there anyway. Feels like payday every time I see this thing. That's what you get for splattering your slop all over my good boots.
Pickup windows open.
When are you gonna get me a big kid gun like that? Putting my bet in. I'd sooner put my money on a three-legged horse. See? Was that so hard? You don't always need to be such a massive twat. As my people like to say, you're being a proper see you next Tuesday. Semtex out. No, you take all the time you
Expo
need.
is no longer available.
It's not like I got other shit to do. You wouldn't try to unlock a knockoff for me, would you? Nah, you ain't that stupid. He's pretty, but can he type? Are you joking? Damn thing's more rigged than a game of ring toss.
Tear them to pieces.
Written time for you, you lucky undead bastard. Things are pretty dog shit as it is. No need to make it worse. Got it?
Max ammo.
If I get a complex because of you, I'm gonna need to switch careers. Seriously, all I do is deal with boxes. That's a relief. I was sure you'd have me over a barrel. Again. your ass and give it a go.
Stuck kid.
Years and years.
We have, and it's what people want to drive right now. And there's a little story about it, but you're going to see it a lot, I guarantee you. They have so many electric vehicles, nobody wants to buy them. They're expensive, well, they can probably get them by them now. Nobody wants to buy them. 3,000 around the country. Biden said, please stop making us start something they don't want. More losses, $4.5 billion. Let me ask you this. You know,
Over the last 48 hours, these two gentlemen, Donald Trump and John Kennedy, have been saying Tesla is God. You're going to have trouble selling electric vehicles to an audience following two manufactured electric vehicles for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Now, some questions as to whether Fox News is starting to turn on. We're going to deal with that more substantially later. But here's Peter Ducey saying, you know, you're coming out here and just making a show of buying a car. A lot of people's retirement accounts are in the toilet thanks to your economy. Check this out.
President Trump buying a new car, while there are some folks who will see this clip at home and they are struggling with their retirement accounts down at the moment, uncertainty about work ahead.
well, I think they're going to do great. I think our country had to do this. We had to go and do this. They've taken away other countries. Have taken away our business. They've taken away our jobs. I did it initially very strongly against, as you know, China and some others.
Yeah. Now, of course, they didn't take our jobs. Jobs were not cured by American companies. Like the American companies did. It's all backwards. It's all backwards. And this aesthetic infomercial eventually evolved into Trump talking about doesn't really understand.
And markets are going to go up, but they're going to go down.
Yeah.
But you know what? We have to leave our country has been stripped of its jobs, of its factories. And I'm sorry to see where they took the markets are broken down factories.
He doesn't like the building, and then finally on by saying, I don't even know Elon.
Headline, this is the case. He's an incredible person. And I don't even know he's a Republican.
The gross rating of an American president in this way, doing infomercials for, I love Tesla. I've never seen anything like it. And now they are coming up with, it's cancel culture, what they're doing to Elon. And I want to deal with that. Sorry, MAGA. Choosing not to buy a Tesla is not cancel culture. Donald Trump is now flipping out. It started yesterday, because some people don't want to buy a Tesla. In classic Trump fashion, he called it a social and illegal and collusive left-wing conspiracy. We talked about it yesterday. I have a message for the free market people that support Trump. Not buying a car isn't illegal. It's called capitalism. It's a little thing called capitalism. People decide where to spend their money based on all kinds of things. I might consider price. You might consider quality. I might want to evaluate whether the CEO is a right-wing troll involved in mass layoffs. And maybe that's how I decide which car I buy. That's not a crime. That's the free market. and telling other people why you are or aren't buying a car is a little bit policy, which we still have for now in this country. The thing that Republicans supposedly love. But even here, it's not cancel culture either. Elon
Oh yeah.
2 years pushing conspiracy theories, boosting right-wing extremists, making X a haven for white nationalist and misogynistic tweets. And now he's shocked that people who actually care about buying electric vehicles, people like me, people who are on average a little more educated, a little more progressive leaning.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk are now engaged in a flagrantly corrupt pact to funnel money to each other, though it's hard to prove because they're doing it secretly in the driveway of the White House. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. I'd like to point out one thing, just to help us all feel a little more sane amid the onslaught of bad news, which is that even though Donald Trump won and he is the president, he is still very unpopular.
We'll look at overall approval rating, and we're going to look at presidents at this point in their presidency, right? And the word here that I would use to describe Trump is awful. In fact, the only person who does worse than Trump does right now with a +1 net approval rating is himself. Back in 2017, but he's doing worse than everybody else. The average president at this point, get this, plus 27 points on their net approval rating. Donald Trump is doing historically awful. The only person he beats is, again, himself.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if he just started attacking himself. We're doing great in the polls, far better than Donald. Dumb Donald, I call him. Very dumb and also a loser. Now many people are saying, was he even born in this country? And Trump's approval ratings are especially bad on the economy. The biggest thing, he was elected to fix.
He beat himself on overall, but on the economy, he can't even beat himself. Again, this is historically the worst going back in polling at this point in a presidency, the net approval rating on the economy. He's right now at -4 points. In term number one, he was at +8 points. Historically, the average is +15 points. He is doing nearly 20 points worse than the average president when it comes to the economy on net approval rating. He is historically doing awful, awful, awful. Weak. And on the issue on which he was elected to, of course, he is doing historically awful. This is not good. If this number holds, you can guarantee his overall approval rating will go down, and it could take his entire presidency with him.
I've never seen a pollster so animated before. Normally they're eggheads or like the polling averages because the Republican opinion is with Margaret Air. But this guy's like a hockey coach. I have an idea for the third period. Why do you guys get your heads out of your asses? Of course, Trump won because of the rise.
That's not funny.
Tariffs. Tariffs are a tax on imports. They make imports more expensive. And that's why the day Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian auto parts, this happened.
This Dodge Ram truck, $80,000, instantly became $100,000.
Oh!
$20,000 price hike in 1 day, which is crazy, but not as crazy as the fact that it's the exact same increase in price for an omelet at my local diner.
This view's out of slingshot. I'm fucking.
By the way, I'm going to go ahead and assume that price hike on Ram trucks is hitting the red states harder than the liberal cities. I'm basing that on...
Yes. That's what I wanted.
Fall out of Buckeye.
Yo, this guy's a fucking idiot. Aren't egg prices going down? Pretty sure they've been going down. Dumbass motherfucker.
Keep pushing. We need to
The right thing to do is what we're doing. We're going to get our jobs back, and we're not going to be laughed at. Now, I will say this, that already Canada, and I respect very much, as you know, there's a very strong man in Canada who said he was going to charge a surcharge or a tariff on electricity coming in. He's involved, and he said he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. Big surprise. We've been treated like Canada. Treated very by Mexico. Treated very unfairly by every country all over the world. The European Union is horrible. And we get it back. I have a choice. I can just go, and eventually there'll be a blow up. But it's down the road, maybe a long way. But we have $36 billion, and we're going to get it back. We're the biggest, we're the best, and I'm very optimistic. I have to tell you, I'm very optimistic about the country.
That was President Trump on the news that Ontario's Premier Doug Ford today backed off his threat of a 25% surcharge on electricity exports to Michigan, New York, Minnesota, after President Trump doubled his tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum imports to 50%.
Oh,
One and only Nebraska Senator Pete Ricketts. Senator, we are so excited to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us. What would you take of this tariff fight? We're seeing high tariffs out of Mexico, Canada, and China, anywhere from 10% to even 50%. What do you make of this? We know the market's in turbulence. America has been abused for years. Do you feel the White House, the Trump team, is communicating to the markets exactly what the problem is and what the end game is? What do you think?
The Trump administration has been very clear. In fact, the president's been very clear. He's really got two uses for tariffs. One is to get countries to do what we want them to do.
That's the main one. Yep.
But for example, Canada,
I'm not
Mexico.
tired of winning. I mean, like, the thing is that, like, and I hope you guys know what I'm meaning, is that, like, I'm not a big fan of the aggression on Canada. Now, I think that, like, doing it, if, like, we're at a trade disadvantage, I think that's different. But, like, in terms of, like, an ideological perspective, like, I'm not ideologically aggressive towards Canada. Like, just keep that in mind, right? Like, we meme about it, calling Canadians future Americans, everything countries, right? But it's not really what I think. But it's funny.
So he wants to end the flow of fentanyl into our country. It's the single biggest killer of our young people, age 18 to 45. 70,000 people a year died from it. So it's one of the things the president's taking very seriously to end, as well as illegal immigration. He also is looking to level the playing field for American companies. The average weighted tariff that we charge products in our country is 1.5%. And the rest of the world charges our products an average of 6%. And that means it's 4 times higher. So we might talk about that could be a one of the our companies have a bigger shot of exporting our goods and services over to places like Europe. I did mention before. So he's got a strategy. It's a little different depending on the country. But it's really about trying to make America more safe and more profitable.
But it's ridiculous about Senator. Listen to this. You know, the Trump team, they're trying to detox the economy off of Biden's historically massive government overspending, plus spend money printing. They're trying to get back to above Joe Biden's weak 2%.
Joe Biden. Why did you do this, Joe Biden?
Pressuring the system. We can't run $2 trillion.
Fuck you, Joe Biden.
Listen to Press Secretary Caroline Levitt today. Listen to what she said. Watch.
Merck has opened a $1 billion facility at its North Carolina site. This is just the latest pharmaceutical company to boost its U.S. manufacturing in lieu of President Trump's tariffs. This announcement follows.
It's really funny because, like, after he's talking about 500 and like 400 billion and like $1 trillion, I'm thinking like $1 billion. I'm like, oh, bro, like these guys are like who? Yeah, they're not even trying.
Lilly plans to invest
yeah, it's only $1 billion. Oh wow!
4 new manufacturing plants here in
That's
City.
it.
And Pfizer has also said it's considering moving their manufacturing overseas, right here in the United States of America. As the president has said over and over again, when we purchase products made in the USA, profits stay here, the revenue stays here, and most importantly, the jobs stay here. And despite the globalist industry media's attempts to worry consumers, President Trump will...
All I want to say is God bless the USA.
not repeat the trend.
I mean, this girl is really nice, but I do think sometimes about how crazy it would be if Alex comes up and says
While they stuck a knife in the back of American workers and shipped their jobs overseas.
That's tough. What do you make of the shopping list of companies talking about expanding the U.S.? The media and Democrats are saying, well, these are just promises, they're not real. What do you hear?
My experience with this stuff is that he gets people to deliver on what they say they're going to do, or else they pay a consequence for it. And so I would expect these investments to be very, very real. And to put American jobs. And again, it's back in line with President Trump's goal of creating more prosperity here in America. But, the president talks about how we've been treated unfairly by the rest of the world. And again, I just think the stats in the tariffs. And
So what he's trying to do is level that playing field, get things up the back here in this country, so that we can take it down here. And by the way,
Bro, are still playing that system?
places like communist China, we can't have all the communist
Yeah. This is the PS5. I'm playing GTA 5 on the PS5. That's what I'm doing.
Made in China has like a secret Chinese bomb attached to it. And if we ever go to war with China, China will just detonate the bomb and blow up everybody's computer.
Whoa!
Yeah, it doesn't? Well, no, I'm serious. There's a lot of people that think this. Like the fucking, the beepers thing. Seriously?
It's Black
Like,
Ops 6 Zombies
yes.
Dim.
No, this is GTA 5. Look. Can you do this in Black Ops 6? Nope. This is GTA 5, see? Bro, I don't know what you're talking about. This is GTA 5 on the
Watching
PS5.
is Muggold.
Yeah, I am watching Asmongold. He has a lot of political takes. I'm pretty much as famous as Asmongold at this point, bro. Like, I'm King Blasey. I'm so famous. Oh. No. Asmongold is loaded. That dude is so rich.
Is he a Trump supporter?
I think he is. He doesn't come out and say it, but most times he supports Trump.
Lazy trolling RN.
Not talking enough about what you just mentioned, Senator. We want to talk about, Wall Street.
Israel literally doesn't as long. They did.
Talking about recession. And then we see other market folks saying no recession. Trump's doing a reset. It feels like Reagan 1981. We have strong payrolls, strong consumer spending at around 3 or 4%. Wall Street pros think the stock market bottom is pretty close. And this market action that we're seeing, Senator, usually happens late in the downside. It's very oversold. We had an ugly rotation out of big fascists with safety in place. We saw that happen in the tech bubble in 2000. The rest of the market was fine back then. Just talk to us about how this feels like Reagan 1981. Slow stagnation, government overspending, and then the Reagan tax cut, Senator.
Yeah, for a great analogy here, and I would just get back to 1981. But when you see what happened to deregulate the economy during the taxes now, we saw it during the Reagan administration, and we saw it during the first Trump administration.
I was just a kid back in 1981. But yeah, this is similar to what we've seen with Ronald Reagan. The tax cuts, the slow economy. Yeah, we've seen all this back in 1981. I remember those days. Though I was just a kid.
I kind of think there 8 regulations for every one he put in place, because he understands that small businesses are the ones that create most of the jobs, and they have the hardest time. If you look at, for example, the NFIB small business index response, where actually for the economy, it's very optimistic. It's the biggest jump in optimism in its history, and it's still very high. So when you see small businesses being optimistic about the future,
that's a good thing. That's a great thing.
That was a very informative interview, Senator.
See what
We hope you
happens.
take the time and come back on soon. That was great. Thank you.
Man, stock market's not the economy, by the way. Well, I mean, it's important. But, like, it's not the only thing. But, like, yeah, I wonder what's going to happen with all these countries. When all these countries have all these these companies have their stuff here, and it's all automated. Because I think this is what's going to happen. I feel like a lot of these factories, like, they're actively trying to do this as fast as they possibly can to, like, automate this as quickly as possible. So that's what I'm kind of countries. Okay, guys, yeah, Trump mentioned that. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with it, because personally, I think that could be a huge thing. Because, like, you're going to have all these people
Yeah. They're gonna automate a lot of the manufacturing that Trump is trying to bring back to America.
I'm excited. I had a fun day today. This morning, I don't know if I told you, Skimmer, I went to over to Tesla. I bought a Cybertruck. I put a brick on the accelerator. I let it roll off the Santa Monica Pier. It was very fun. You know, St. Patrick's Day is on Monday. Are you ready for St. Patrick's Day?
Ready, Jimmy, ready.
You didn't do anything crazy like giving up drinking for Lent, did you?
Beer, Jimmy, beer, but not tequila.
For real?
Yeah, beer has a lot of calories. Tequila does have no calories.
Okay. Do you ever worry that you're confusing God?
No.
No, okay.
In
Washington, they got an early start on St. Patrick's Day. President Trump this morning welcomed the Prime Minister of Ireland. Well, welcome might not be the right word. Trump spent most of the meeting telling reporters how badly Ireland treats us while he was sitting.
I want to get drunk. I want some vodka right now.
For whatever slight President Drama Queen has created in his head. Putin will get a back rub if he ever comes. The Irish Prime Minister gets a stubby little finger in his face. Most of Trump's meetings now take place in front of the press because why be off TV when you can be on it? And since the White House kicked out the Associated Press, they've made spots for friendlier outlets, which is a decision that has created a buffet of buffoonery, much of it from a gentleman who happens to be the boyfriend of Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's the one who asked Zelensky, why aren't you wearing a suit? Today, we hit the Irish Prime Minister with this important question.
We saying the biz? Go bloody more with that thing.
Thank you. I like that question. You know who she is?
This feud with Rosie's been going on longer than me and Matt Damon now. It's kind of... I mean, listen.
Right.
What a great question. This is the kind of energy you bring when your girlfriend keeps beating you in arm wrestling at home. You know, if they're going to allow stupid questions to be asked at the White House, I would like them to invite me to ask some stupid questions. Just the president.
Dad would have been proud of that one.
Steve, when you're in the toilet, you ever look down and cry? Meanwhile, the prices Trump said he would lower on day one are still high. Our eggs have the flu, and half the Department of Education is about to get laid off. The new Secretary of Education is Linda McMahon, married to Vince McMahon of the WWE. Can you imagine getting fired by the wife of the disgraced wrestling meathead? Don't let the folding chair hit you on the way out. Here's a math problem, okay? If the Department of Education has 4,000 employees and the president cuts 50% of the workforce, how many edibles do I need to get through the next 4 years? Thanos, the Department of Education. Goodbye half the Department of Education. Goodbye half the National Park Service. Goodbye half our allies. Goodbye half of your 401k. They all disappear and they're not coming back. And by law now, Trump cannot close the Department of Education. He has to have an act of Congress to do that. But luckily for him, the Supreme Court ruled last year that by law, he doesn't have to do things by law. He is above the law, like a chubbier Steven Seagal, if you will. You know, while Trump and Elon are treating our government like it's the severed corner of Newman, they talk a lot about federal employees and how they don't work, how they don't do anything, how they don't bother to show up. No, they don't know anything. They just say it or extend it to those groups with the chainsaw, which makes this report from CNN on particularly. Is the woman Elon Musk put in charge of keeping the Office of Personnel, which is the body in charge of supervising the entire federal
It's just like any other influencer video. A young woman posing in front of a camera over and over and over again.
Her name is Florence Hanover, and she's the Trump administration's new director of communications for the Office of Personnel Management. All of these videos were shot in her government office, right here at OPM headquarters in Washington, D.C. Inside her office, Hanover captures video at her desk, putting on makeup, modeling new outfits to her 800 followers.
Now listen, you know what? You don't want to fire a bunch of people wearing the same outfit. It's rude. You have to have a different look for each person you let go.
On February 13th, the day 20 people on her communications team lost their jobs, she posted a moment for mixed patterns.
Let's have a moment for mixed patterns and mixed messages, too. The worst part of the story, she only has 800 followers. But maybe Elon can help her with that. This is quite a person, this Elon Musk. Elon Musk sat with Trump's obedient servant, Larry Kudlow, the other night on Fox Business, where both men were absolutely bubbling over with charisma and heart. You know, the eternal, this gigantic money back then they will leave. And they will lose voters.
Better I gamble here than some dodgy warehouse poker game.
Yeah, get out. I don't want to end this interview. There's too much fun. Thank you for all your service. We appreciate it. There's so much chemistry. I would like to see them host a game show together. After this, we have a major technological breakthrough for the international team of scientists have created the first fully functioning 3D printed penile implant. There it is. There's a collaboration by researchers from the U.S., China, and Japan. Isn't it great that despite all our differences, we can still come together to make a boner?
Oh, you want to be friends today? Is that it?
It's made of a gel and has been successfully tested on pigs. What a matter of time it is to be a pig. Give me your heart. I need a new job. I ate too much bacon. I just sucked on swamp. I got a rubber penis to test out on you. Erections, as many of you know, are not guaranteed. They can be elusive, and that's why so many stocks with their fans are celebrating this exciting new development.
Oh no. Oh no, nigga.
What happens for him, really? There are technical advancements happening just about everywhere. TikTok has announced a new feature that is designed to help younger users relax and wind down after being glued to their app all day. If a kid under 16 years old is still using the app after 10 p.m., TikTok will interrupt their feed with a full-screen wind down reminder that plays calming music to help them relax and be mindful of what time it is. That's great. TikTok trying to help kids relax. It's like them telling us to meditate. But that's how addictive it is. Even their own companies, like, the only way to stop this is to hypnotize them. That's, when I was a kid, we also had TikTok to lull us to sleep. It was called the clock. If you really want your kids to get good sleep, the best way to do it is to order a MyPillow. MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell needs you to order one because, as if he doesn't have enough problems, he's being now sued by FedEx for almost $9 million in unpaid fees for delivery. And I think I know why he's not paying shipping.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale overstock clearance and brand new product. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is failed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Turns out it's free for us, but not him. He's got to pay. Poor Mike Liddell to be the first person ever to plead insanity in bankruptcy court. But this lawsuit for FedEx comes 2 months after Mike Liddell wanted to pay DHL, another shipping company, almost $800,000 for not paying them, which is not great. So I thought it might be a good idea to check in on Mike to see how he's holding up. And let's go to him now. Funny, well, he's not there now. Mike, are you there? Oh, I think it's Mike. Oh. Mike, are you okay? I said, know, it's not Elon. I don't have money. It's Jimmy Kimmel. I'm just worried about you.
Oh, calm down, Jimmy Kendall. It's not the first time I've been buried alive. What do you want? You're just coming to rub it in because old Mike is getting sued again?
No, I'm not, brother. I wanted to see how you're doing. This seems like a serious lawsuit.
I know. Who the heck knew that I could get sued by Panda Express? After how much I love their broccoli beef and noodles with noodles. 5 inches is not to get me.
Mike, unless there's another lawsuit I don't know about, it's nothing to do with Panda. FedEx.
Oh, Jesus, I just can't go to Chinese prison again. These finger cups they got, they're deadly.
Oh.
You know how hard it is to stew with your dictionary in cartridge.
Yeah, you gotta stop tugging on it. You gotta push your fingers in and not out.
You sound like my wife.
Wait a minute. However, you can shoot through them also. Thank you. Anyway, are you worried about this lawsuit? That is a lot of money, $9 million.
No, not those. I'll just throw it right in the pile.
Oh, are those all lawsuits? Who else is suing you?
Who ain't suing me? We got the Dominion vote machine.
Right.
We got Frito-Lay.
Wow.
We got Tatum for accidentally kidnapping the mayor. I'm getting prostituted by the court of enemy county.
Oh, damn, that's crazy, bro.
And so, America is, at this hour, completing the 52nd day of having a president of the United States whose brain does not work. Donald Trump's brain is broken, badly damaged, as he exhibits every day. Once again today, Donald Trump.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Mom, get the camera. Mom, I just got fucking the wind gun, whatever this thing's called, with the ray gun. I got the wind gun and the ray gun. Holy shit! Oh my God! I just fucking came.
Evaluations of the bench, for starters, that's where they would have been going. It was a vile, anti-Semitic outburst by the man who once said this after he saw a black accountant working at one of his failed casinos. Black guys counting my money, I hate them. The only kind of people I want counting my money are short guys that wear yarmulkes every day. They're the kind of people I want counting my money. No one else. That is how the anti-Semitic president of the United States sees Jewish men. Little short men who wear yarmulkes. That's Donald Trump. Donald Trump spewed this demented poison today. What the poison we will get to. It came out of him in response to this question.
It smell like Modi ass for a bit.
Well, we are going to lower taxes, yeah, if the Democrats behave, but the Democrats have no clue. Are you planning to lower taxes like Ireland? There's Donald Trump sitting in the Oval Office today with the head of the Irish government, asked a question about corporate taxes in Ireland and the United States, which then got him rambling on for a few completely irrelevant paragraphs that could never be called an answer. And then he ended his response to that question about corporate taxes with this statement about Chuck Schumer. Schumer is a Palestinian, as far as I'm concerned. You know, he's become a Palestinian. He used to be Jewish. He's not Jewish anymore. He's a Palestinian. Not a single Republican anywhere in America who claims to be a staunch supporter of Israel and the Jewish people rose up to object to Donald Trump declaring Chuck Schumer to not be Jewish anymore. So Donald Trump, who has no idea whether he's Jewish or Palestinian, now decides he is Jewish in this country only in his own perverse, deep-rooted brain. Keith Weaver's brain could he do that? But the disgrace of every elected Republican in Washington is that not one of them dares to complain about that kind of poison coming out of the foul mouth of Donald Trump, and not one of them worries about the mental capacity of the kind of person who can say that, who, oh, by the way, has access to the nuclear codes while he's saying things like that. Donald Trump's mind is gone. It is shattered. You just saw that. It's no recognizable neurological type of not a single person who ever tries to interpret Donald Trump for you and defensively tries to tell you what Donald Trump meant when he says something insane ever uses the actual words of Donald Trump to explain Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump, who once said, I have the best words, says things all the time, every day, that make absolutely no sense and frequently are filled with hatred. He's not Jewish anymore. So the United States of America now has a head of state who decides who's Jewish and who isn't. Who else had a head of state who did that? Ever heard of a head of state doing anything like that? You have to be in your 90s to remember the last time the world had a head of state who decided who was Jewish and who was not. That was one of Adolf Hitler's first ideas about how to govern Europe. First of all, decide who's Jewish and who is not. The people who attacked the Capitol on January 6th and made their way to the Senate were heard saying, where's the big Jew? They meant Chuck Schumer, who had just become the first Jewish majority leader of the United States Senate in history the day before the attack, and that was not lost on Trump supporters who attacked the Capitol wearing clothing celebrating the Holocaust. Robert Keith Packer was wearing his Camp Auschwitz hoodie. What would he have done if he had found Chuck Schumer? While Donald Trump supporters were looking for Chuck Schumer, saying, where's the big Jew? Donald Trump was silent for 187 minutes. If Donald Trump was ever going to say Chuck Schumer is Jewish, maybe then, when his people were walking around the Senate saying, where's the big Jew? Nazis invaded the capital of the United States looking for Chuck Schumer 76 years after Nazis were rounding up and executing members of Chuck Schumer's family in Nazi death camps in Kentucky with poisonous, broken-brained Donald Trump said he used to be Jewish, he's not Jewish anymore. All of the same people in the world, all of the same people in America, all of the same people in the Republican Party, the sane ones, do not have to work hard to not say things like that. They are not spending their day and their energy fighting the impulse to say Chuck Schumer is not Jewish anymore, because they are not insane. On CNBC yesterday, the normally mild-mannered, very pro-business Steve Leisman used a word I've never heard him use before in his analysis of the economy or the stock market or anything else. It was the word insane, and he applied it to Donald Trump.
I'm going to say this at risk of my job, Kelly, but what President Trump is doing is insane. It is absolutely insane. It is about the 8th reason we've had for the tariffs, and now he's saying 50% tariffs on Canada unless they agree to become the 51st state. That is insane. There is just no other way of having it.
That's enough for Donald Trump. Called Steve Leisman a Palestinian. That's enough for Donald Trump. Say he's not Jewish. And Steve Leisman is not a short guy with God. So maybe Donald Trump thinks Steve Leisman doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to anything financial or economic. It took an insane person to make Steve Leisman use the word insane in describing what Donald Trump is doing to the economy, the stock market, his tariffs, and it took an insane person to say Schumer is a Palestinian as far as I'm concerned. He's become a Palestinian. He used to be Jewish. He's not Jewish anymore. He's a Palestinian. Okay? That's what Donald Trump's last word was. Okay? No, not okay. And it's not okay that we live in a country where that is not...
Oh, shut your bitch ass up and stop whining. You fucking 60-year-old pussy.
Welcome, one and all to the Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. It has been a couple of days in the old U.S. economy. The Dow has been falling faster than...
Ah!
He's spotted. This toboggan ride to Skid Row is all courtesy of Trump on and off again tariffs. But today, Trump implemented a plan to quell fear of tariffs with more tariffs. Now, remember, you gotta fight fire with setting our money on fire. And this morning, Trump's sweeping tariffs on all steel and aluminum went into effect. Foiled again! Now, of course, these tariffs, like all tariffs, is a tax that we pay on the stuff that we buy. For example, the price of a car can increase by as much as $12,000. Yeah. So from now on, teenagers are going to have to try to get to third base in the backseat of a bike. Cars aren't the only things that need aluminum. What else will this affect?
This is going to increase the price of things like beer cans.
Not to worry.
Cry harder.
For any leader meeting Donald Trump, it's always a delicate diplomatic dance when trade and tariffs on the president's mind. Sparing anyone, including Canada and the European Union, after he slapped a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum coming into the U.S. He struck back, slapping a tax on $28 billion of American goods, from blue jeans, bourbon to motorcycles, ranking up the trade with profits.
They don't take our farm products, they don't take our products. If they charge us 25, 20%, 10%, 2%, 24%, then that's
threatening even more pain as America's biggest bank, JP Morgan, stood upon this year. There's about a 40% chance of a U.S. recession this year. It won't rise to 50%. Trump follows through on tariffs next month.
It's economic nonsense. It's going to leave everybody engaged in the trade war worse off, and economically, it's going to cause some enormous damage.
Even emerging inflation report all of this uncertainties rattle markets. The president defending his owning off again tariffs.
I have the right. And I was brought by the automakers, and they asked me to do them. Could I delay it? I'm not going to lie, because I won't delay. It's called flexibility. It's not called inconsistency. It's called flexibility.
Even as Republicans demand more clarity on the president's strategy, Americans have soured on Trump's trade war. New polling shows more than half disapprove of his handling of the economy.
Oh no!
Hi, everyone. Casey Hunt. Welcome to the arena. It's wonderful to have you with us on this Wednesday. Today, we are through President Trump's first 100 days in office, and there are new signs that he's playing with the American people on what has been his strongest issue may be over. Take a look at CNN's exclusive new poll. The majority of Americans, 56%, now say they approve of Trump's handling of the economy. In other words, the issue that voters care about most, the issue that got him elected. And this is the worst rating of Trump's career on the economy, worse than at any point in his first term. So is the whiplash in the past few weeks Biden destroying this innocent American side of Donald Trump?
Lots of companies and thousands of employees. I'm always looking for someone who's new and talented. I'm looking for someone who's a sharp negotiator. I'm looking for the apprentice.
So, what is President Trump doing to reconnect with Americans? Americans and their economic concerns. He is talking $100,000 cars. Despite the moving as markets were closing yesterday, the Dow was down 400 points. Trump was making a sales pitch for Tesla. People are watching thousands of dollars evaporate from their retirement accounts, and Trump was holding this piece of paper in his hand, showing just how much Tesla's cost, some into the six figures. Now, it's not clear which one of these Trump actually bought, but this entire display led to this question from a Fox News reporter showed us.
What is your message, President Trump? Buying a new car while American folks, school people stuck at home, and they are struggling with their retirement accounts down at the moment, uncertainty about work ahead.
Well, I think they're going to do great. So is the Trump presidency over? It should be clear there are some positives for the president in the report we have here, including strong approval for the immigration crackdown. And it's just in, the markets stabilizing somewhat, the S&P and the NASDAQ closing in positive territory moments ago. Their first attempt to rally after that massive sell-off that was triggered by Trump's trade war and his comments about possible recession. Still, Trump may be putting his own political capital on the line for someone that Americans like a lot less than they seem to like the president. In our new poll, more than half of Americans have an unfavorable view of Elon Musk. He is underwater. And nearly...
Stop, Aslan!
...say not have the right experience for his role in slashing and overhauling the federal government. Unless this is the image that President Trump is leaving all of us with. All right, joining us now is our panel. So she's been a host of former DNC senior advisor, communications director, Joy Goldberg, co-founder, editor-in-chief of the Dispatch, CNN anchor and chief political correspondent, Dana Bash, and Scott Jennings, CNN senior political commentator. To all of you, thank you so much for being here. Joy Goldberg, actually, let's start with you on the Tesla display that we saw yesterday. How it fits into this big picture, because Trump does seem to be looking around on something Americans are giving him all the credit.
Yeah, so the first thing I want to know is whether or not Trump got the under. You see, they put that in the fact that every move. Look, I think Trump still very much likes having Elon Musk around, not just if he were $100 million, or maybe $100 million, but various factors, but not much. Musk gets to play bad cop, and have the richest man in the world playing bad cop. You can see why that would appeal to Donald Trump. I don't think that this relationship lasts forever. The act is going to get old. We've been reporting that those people are desperate to find actual wins, because a lot of them have been exaggerated. And eventually the conversation is going to move from the slashing phase to some other phase. And the show will get over, and I think they'll figure out a way to peacefully move the market aside.
The headline you've probably heard: markets are slumping, and it's hitting Elon Musk's Tesla extremely hard. A crash there. The steepest drop in 5 years landed for that company this week, as Musk has been doing just about everything but spending full time running Tesla, working with the government, political speeches and appearances instead of focused on this company for someone people expecting to keep track of the stock. Meanwhile, Trump and Musk's alliance is now using your taxpayer resources and the White House itself for the extremely odd, controversial, and allegedly possibly corrupt presentation that you see here. The pair spent 30 minutes at the White House on what many called an obvious ad and conflict of interest, where the President of the United States hawked Tesla at the White House, invited reporters, also basically suggesting he was shopping for a new car and hawked the products. And then Trump, the photographer, showing that Trump's notes revealed a price list of Tesla cars, meaning this was quite specifically a sales job for one company owned or tied to his own political ally. Obviously, a big part of Musk's wealth, related to the notes you see there, is all the Tesla stock he owns. It read like a Tesla sales push, one outlet put it.
And news reports noting the brazen conflict here. Trump making the White House a kind of Tesla, quote, showroom or car lot to boost Musk's company. This is beautiful. Whoa! Can I get in? Let me get in a second. You want my notes? Yeah. They gave me notes or something. I'm not biting. I don't need them. Yeah. Thank you. Let me get into this second. Oh, what secret service? Thank you. I think you're just coming around. Everything's computer.
And fireworks do not mix.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Started. You don't want this, Brad. I love Tesla. The one I like is that. I don't want that same color.
I get this.
The event is exactly the kind of conflict these two men said they would avoid. Musk spent over $250 million on Trump-related campaign efforts, including another 100M, as I mentioned to you tonight. If Trump's administration were doing anything to possibly help Elon Musk's Tesla, remember, Musk recently and falsely claimed that he would recuse from it. Which of course means he would have had to recuse from this entire White House event. And he's also said in that same clearly false set of remarks that he never asked Trump for anything.
I mean, I've asked the president for anything ever. And it's going to come to how we handle it. Well, somehow we do not. Yeah, I'll do it. That's how it is. That's a conflict you won't give up. I mean, I wouldn't want that, and he won't want it.
That was just one of those things they said amidst this blizzard, and maybe Fox's Scott Kennedy should do a follow-up piece, because it's kind of embarrassing when they make that claim on your own program in your interview, and then you don't mention when they violate it. The claim is false. Recuse means removing yourself from the participation to avoid the conflict of interest. This was a conflict of interest because they're promoting Musk's Tesla. He did not recuse from what is a much needed boost, potentially, for his company as its stock tanks in total free fall this week. Washington Post notes Trump is hoping to reward his friends. Musk hikes the spending for Trump. That's the back and forth. There's the conflict. All of this, as federal agencies, all the way up to the White House promotion for Tesla, we see Trump trying to bend the government to help Musk. And it goes well beyond what you see just in these kind of sort of embarrassing efforts to hawk cars. If they're great cars, why do you need the government involved in selling them in that manner? But a Trump prosecutor also made a possibly illegal vow to investigate members of Congress who criticize Elon Musk. That's, again, helpful to Musk coming from the Trump administration. And then Trump recently said he agrees with a suggestion that people who protest Tesla are actually, quote, domestic terrorists harming a great American company. And
Nah. See, that shit's so stupid. I like to listen to opposite news source from right wing just to get their perspective, and that shit's so stupid. Trump did not say anyone who protests Tesla is a violent terrorist. He said that anyone who is being violent is a terrorist. It has nothing to do with protesting. What a bunch of bullshit. See, they always sprinkle in truths, and then they put a bunch of lies. Fucking bullshit, bro.
It's hard for someone that Elon Musk or Donald Trump to understand what it's like to put everything on the line for someone other than themselves, or for every person on the nation's top. and his wife and said,
I agree.
I want them to get the most quality, most accessible care they can.
The Department of Veterans Affairs is planning an aggressive reorganization that includes cutting 80,000 jobs from the agency that provides health care for retired military members. This is all according to an internal memo. The VA's chief of staff told top-level officials at the agency that it had an objective to cut enough employees to return to 29.
The trade war may be causing cracks. Team Canada, Danielle Smith, is seeking allies in Texas, while Ontario's premier has met Trump officials. Some political watchers wonder which Trump tariff strategy is heading on. So you should let us know some reports.
That little threat is 25% surcharge on electricity sent from his province to the U.S.
That is absolutely one of the worst. And we had, when I say worst in terms of judgment.
Despite that criticism from England's president, the threat from Doug Ford may be paying off, including that premier a meeting with the U.S. Commerce Secretary on Thursday.
Our message to is let's stop this. It's going to hurt the Republicans. It's the American people who are going to get hurt.
The conversation tomorrow will be what can we do? It's completely unjustified application of tariffs to steel and aluminum from Canada that came into effect today.
Finance Minister will attend Thursday's meeting after all what the U.S. 120 tariffs in response to 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum. The tariffs announced hours before premiers met on the issue. Alberta's premier calls that meeting a frank and healthy conversation, emphasizing her plans to pursue a primarily diplomatic approach to avoid escalation.
Higher tariffs, counter tariffs, retaliatory tariffs, holiday bombs.
Alberta's trade minister defends there's no chance Alberta will consider taxes.
She wants to form an export tax on Alberta's energy.
Politically, that's where the pressure comes because you can't just sort of sit back and necessarily be perceived as.
Interesting.
The United States is the world's largest exporter of law and the vaccine massive, producing up millions of rates.
A couple decades ago, we had 30 smelters around the ocean, and that drop was almost impossible and it's dangerous.
The Trump administration believes this problem will result in tariffs.
So impose a 25% tariff on foreign aluminum, copper, lumber, and steel.
A tariff is a tax. Quite simply, it's a tax that's paid by an importer so when a product crosses the border, it's paid at the port of entry by the person who's paying to bring that good into the country.
Any analysis of the consumer impact depends on what the president commits to as negotiations.
This one's interesting because the building of the money started in his first term. They want those goods to be manufactured inside the U.S.
If you think AI is power intensive, aluminum is a whole different world. It is 6 times more power intensive than AI data centers.
I think it's going to be much harder for these firms to absorb the price increases.
So, will aluminum production move back to the U.S.? And how will that affect the prices that Americans pay?
Semtex, have fun.
Americans use a lot. The U.S. threw away 61 billion cans. And that's to average 18 12-packs in the same year. 46 billion cans were recycled.
80% of the aluminum we use in the United States every year is recycled. So we're the world's leader. I think recycling is one of the main stuff.
But the metal has many applications beyond the kitchen. Aluminum is all around us and don't even know. For example, as much as 80% of an aircraft's content is made of aluminum. The metal is also a very effective conduit for electricity, making it a top choice for long-distance transmission lines.
It really is the magic metal. It's the metal on the moon, the satellites in space. So for our energy infrastructure, for our transportation infrastructure, for almost every national defense application, you have to use aluminum. So it really is.
There are small pockets in the United States that work on oxide, but it's much more productive than many used metal in other parts of the world. The world's leading aluminum producers are China, India, Russia, and Canada. Since 2018, the U.S. has charged a 10% tariff on imports of aluminum into the country.
The tariffs were initially pretty broad, and we had exemptions to Canada, Mexico, which are, in general, are large markets for us. During the Biden administration, we negotiated quotas with the EU and the UK.
Since the label, the effective tariff rate for aluminum was just 3.91% in February 2025. The U.S. is now increasing the tariff rate for all beginning in March, it would be 25%.
The towers are going to not to the whole project, but only to be a project. It's also going to another leader learning things that we gotta have to do this. So not only pricing tax, but we're getting more administrative complexity.
Industries reliable on automobiles will be forced to raise prices. The housing market also has concerns. Tariffs on building materials increase the cost of newly constructed homes by as much as $22,000 over the next 12 months. This analysis, by CoreLogic, includes levies on aluminum, alongside those on steel, and much more. Still, lobbyists and economists think the overall price effects
the impact on consumers, quite honestly, is pretty minimal, because aluminum is usually one component of a product. The value of that product is generally not very high when it comes to the actual selling price. Consider a $20,000 car or something like that, it might increase the price by about $75.
Then, price hikes from tariffs don't make the drastic relief as consumers. Businesses can instead pivot. For example, Coca-Cola says it will sell more soda in plastic bottles if aluminum tariffs were to hit the U.S. Canada and China are among the biggest importers of aluminum into the United States. In March, the U.S. also threatened to place additional tariffs on all goods coming from China, Mexico, and Canada, which means millions of products consumed in the U.S. will see multiple stacked tariffs.
These steel aluminum tariffs, according to the White House officials I've spoken with, are going to add on to any tariffs that are already in place.
The prospect of a trade war with Canada and Mexico could upset an old and vital partnership. Companies like Alcoa are heavily reliant on imports of aluminum from Canada. The brands that buy them from them, car manufacturers, suppliers, and consumer stakeholders, and some packaging.
Providing less than not we have to pay a high price domestically, or we could just pay a higher import price.
The premium for U.S. Midwest aluminum has increased by over 60% between January and March 5, 2025.
When folks purchase aluminum, they're not just purchasing the raw material, but we're also getting a lot of other products that are recycled. These prices, the recycled content are also rising, even though they're not subject to tariffs.
The push to produce more aluminum in the United States would ultimately affect jobs in the domestic industry.
Every one job in Canada in the aluminum industry smelting metal supports 13 jobs in the United States. We built a lot of furnaces, and we need something to put in them. And Canada has primary aluminum. If we don't import it from Canada, our other potential partners around the world are India, the Middle East, some from Australia, and then after that, China or Russia.
The administration said that tariffs will help the U.S. rebuild its industrial base. The U.S. industrial base shrank in recent decades as other countries' manufacturing capacity grew. Just an example here is not Canada, but China. China's production of aluminum has increased sharply since the early 2000s, after the country was allowed to join the World Trade Organization. Leaders from both parties criticized China's strategic moves that created this explosive growth.
Metals production, steel and aluminum, was targeted several decades ago by the Chinese Communist Party as being an industry that they wanted to not only compete in, but to dominate globally. And so, through a variety of government interventions, including massive subsidies, subsidized energy costs, preferential financing, quite honestly, for that given intellectual property, the subsidies allowed China to come in at an artificially low price, and that has roiled the aluminum industry globally, and in particular in the United States.
In recent decades, China has also made tremendous strides in manufacturing processes like smelting. Smelting is a critical step in the production process that makes it possible to build so many aluminum products.
40% of the cost of producing smelting aluminum, it's really the electricity that goes into the process.
The White House believes U.S. domestic smelting capacity is running below ideal levels.
It'll really take a long-term commitment to energy provision. I'm speaking specifically of electricity, and it will take time to build more smelters. And in the meantime, we will. A company that's planning a smelter in the United States today, they have to get the energy sector to commit to 25 years of provision of electricity. Then it will take, we believe, around 8 to 10 years to build the smelter, because you have to site it, you have to permit it, you have to build it, you have to get it up and running. And we haven't done that, I would remind you, in 45 years.
This would be incredibly disruptive to power grid. There's a reason why it was outsourced to begin with.
Meanwhile, new technologies like vehicles, solar panels, and smartphones require more aluminum, and our domestic supply is running short relative to demand.
The United States is still one of the best places in the world to produce primary aluminum. It comes back to those fundamentals of the market, where we do have to compete today with data centers and others. The only solar project in the U.S. that is being contemplated right now will use between 700 and 1,000 megawatts of electricity. We'll need a commitment to a reasonable price rate for that electricity for a generation. And so that's a challenge.
Oh, that guy's going fast.
Stretching as far as the eye can see, thousands of trucks make their way back to Mexico after dropping billions of dollars worth of goods bound for U.S. consumers. This is a scene that you see every day. Millions of dollars of product are coming in from Mexico into the United States. For the first time in more than 2 decades, Mexico overtook China as the largest importer of goods to the U.S. Mexican goods imported to the U.S. totaled $475 billion in 2023, about $20 billion higher than the previous year. During that same period, Chinese goods imported to the U.S. came to $427 billion, $110 billion less than the year prior, and imports from Mexico are still climbing. In the first 8 months of this year, U.S. imports from Mexico reached $334 billion, 5.8% higher than the same period in 2023. Fueling that trend are simmering trade tensions between Beijing and Washington, an effort to bring U.S. imports closer to home, and a burgeoning Mexican manufacturing base. But there's another factor at play. To avoid American tariffs, Chinese companies are using Mexico as a backdoor to the U.S. With what you're moving within Mexico itself, the finished product, how much of those Chinese goods actually stay in Mexico, and how much, roughly, do you think those Chinese products come here to the United States?
I think there's a huge market for Chinese product in Mexico, but the big ticket item here is the U.S. market. That's why China's coming to Mexico.
What we're trying to do is bring stuff from all over the world to Mexico, manufacture here, and send it again abroad.
Chinese car companies, for example, are setting up shop in Mexico. Tariffs on Chinese goods date back to 2018, when the Trump administration launched a trade war with China. To take advantage of the Mexican trade, logistics companies like Maersk, DHL, and Uber Freight are ramping up their investments on both sides of the border.
These companies are coming to Texas. It's a wild, wild west, where they are buying up land to secure warehouse space.
At the center of it all is U.S. Customs and Border Protection,
one of the world's largest law enforcement agencies with over 60,000 employees.
We'll do everything inspection on it, from business material to narcotics, to warfare, to manifest discrepancies, everything.
More than 650,000 cargo trucks crossed the Atlanta-Saragossa Bridge in El Paso, Texas in 2022. So how is China able to circumvent U.S. tariffs? And what are logistics companies doing to prepare for the upcoming boom in Mexican trade? CBC traveled to Mexico City and El Paso to find out. In an effort to avoid U.S. tariffs, Chinese companies are moving their raw materials and operations to Mexico. Jordan Dewart is the president of cross-border logistics company Redwood Mexico. In addition to this 100,000 square foot warehouse in El Paso, the company also has about 200 employees in Mexico. How has the landscape changed since the start of the Trump trade war when it comes to Chinese manufacturing?
Well, it's no secret there was a lot of pressure on Chinese companies after these trade wars, and I think we saw immediately an opportunity for Chinese companies to move to Mexico and catch this growing wave.
Ocean container data tracked by freight analytics firms and NADA backs that up.
We have seen 18 months in a row now with ever-increasing, basically all-time high monthly imports from China to Mexico.
Container traffic from China to Mexico has surged in recent years. From January to August 2024, China to Mexico container trade was up by 22% from the year prior. That's on top of container trade along the same route in 2023, up 33% from 2020.
Today, President Trump's 25% tariff on all imported steel and aluminum is in effect. He did, however, reverse course on a 50% tariff on Canada. Listen to what he had to say about his discussions with our neighbor to the north, Rob.
I will say this, that Albany, Canada, and I respect very much. As you know, there's a very strong man in Canada who said he was going to charge a surcharge or a tariff on electricity coming into London. He is called and he said he's not going to do it. Okay, he's not going to do it. He's been treated very unfairly by Canada. We've been treated very unfairly by Mexico. But we've been treated very unfairly by every country all over the world. The European Union is horrible. Horrible. And we're going to get it back. We owe $36 trillion, and we're going to get it back. The tickets for the best, and I'm very optimistic.
All right, so look who's here with me now, Mr. Wonderful himself, Kevin O'Leary. Kevin, Trump appeared to report yesterday's fact the Ontario may have backed off those elements, the export tariffs. But the markets, they remain, not today, but in the past couple of weeks, they're lagged by the uncertainty of this tariff back. Are you out of the way? No, you're not. You got to remember it's a Canada unique situation. Trudeau is not. So you've got obviously one which is talking about there was Ford, Ontario, with Banning. He's on his way to Washington. Howard Lutnick's going to be negotiating with him. Sorry, at the end of the day, the real question is this a rebalancing of all tariffs? If the second we're supposed to get reciprocal tariffs scheduled in every tariff in every country, that's interesting. But does Howard see the opportunity of emerging economies? Because if it's no, I just want war on every single commodity, it's a different sense to say, look, we balance this thing first. If there's tariffs on butter coming out of Vermont, Canada 240%, we're going to do the same. We're going to get rid of these tariffs one day and join the economy, not sell the country, but the potential of taking Canadian resources and providing the largest market in the world is so huge. I think that's where he wants to go. So can we get to real free trade?
Yes, Canada would be huge because it would beat China by 40% in the size of the economy.
Just have to say that. Say that.
Elon Musk is laser focused on the Social Security Administration, the organization that provides benefits to nearly 70 million Americans. Washington Post reports this about the havoc wreaked by Elon Musk and his team. Quote, they came in aggressively, former official who witnessed Elon Musk's scheme take over the Social Security Administration, said, demanding access to sensitive taxpayer data and refusing briefings on how the agency ensures the accuracy of its benefit systems. They recklessly expose data in unsecured areas outside Social Security offices, the official said, potentially disclosing personally identifiable information on almost every American to people not authorized to see it. The information comes from an affidavit by the agency's former acting chief of staff, Tiffany Flick, as part of a lawsuit filed late Friday. Flick, who was forced out of her position last month, warns this in that same affidavit, quote, if Social Security's long-standing information security policies and procedures continue to be ignored by the Doge team, like wrote, quote, that could result in benefits not being paid out or delays in payments. The stakes are high. Joining our coverage, Martin O'Malley, the former governor of Maryland, who served as the commissioner of the Social Security Administration under President Joe Biden. Governor, thank you for being here. Help people understand how much we know and how much we don't know about what's going on right now with Elon Musk's team and Social Security.
Well, we just learned, we just got a pretty credible confirmation of what has been reported that they're doing up there from Tiffany Flick. She was a person in Social Security, and she laid out in that affidavit what they were doing. The other thing that we know is that they're driving people out, employees out of Social Security as fast as they possibly can. It's firing some entire, divisions of Social Security, the entire Office of Civil Rights and Equal Opportunity, the entire Office of Customer Service Transformation, telling people they're all being fired for cause. Get a cardboard box, get out today, no, you can't be assigned anyplace else. We also know that they're paying people in cash to leave, and we know that people that were retirement eligible, like the people that keep the IT systems going so that those monthly benefit checks arrive every month as they have for 90 years without interruption, they're being told if they're retirement eligible, like I said, 40% of them are, we will pay you until the end of the year if you get out now. No need for knowledge transfer. No need to tell us what you understand about how the architecture of this place is put together. Leave now. I truly believe that they are trying to cradle this agency and that they are driving it to a total system collapse that's going to happen a lot sooner rather than later.
And actually, let me show you what Bernie Sanders had to say, issuing some similar warnings about messing with Social Security.
You want to hear something that is so horrible, given the fact that we are the richest country on earth, is that 30,000 Americans die every year waiting for an understaffed Social Security to approve disability benefits. Today, all right? Can you imagine somebody old, they're on disability, they can't get the benefits they got. Die early. If these cuts go through, the number of people who die will go up significantly. That is not what this country is about, and we're not going to allow that to happen.
What does it mean to take a system stretched to the limit, serving some of the most vulnerable people among us, not just strangers somewhere else, the people in our communities, and try to break it?
Yeah, I believe they're trying to break it so that they can then turn the public against it and say, look, it didn't work. And then that allows them to then privatize it and liquidate it. There were reports in Bloomberg News that in addition to the 20-year-old bros from Doge that are up there rummaging through the personal data and messing with the fragile system, that they've sent people in equity finance up to Social Security. In other words, the very sort of people that pick over the wreckage of a company after they drive it into the ground and figure out how they can sell off pieces of it. This is not a group of people that are going to make Social Security work better. In fact, by the end of the Biden administration, we had gotten every service delivery metric moving in a better direction. And many times I testified in Congress about the fact that Sanders was sharing at that rally. And that people die waiting for their initial disability determinations than ever before. And why is that? It's because the House Republicans were already cutting Social Security's staffing down to 50-year levels. And that was before the Doge Bros even had driver's licenses. And now they want to cut it by another 50%. So this is a group that clearly wants to break Social Security. And the good news is, I was at 3 different town halls all across Florida over the weekend. And people are waking up to the fact that they were trying to break their Social Security. My hope is that people rise up and force Congress to stop them before benefits are interrupted. But that's where we're headed. We're headed to benefit interruptions.
And the other piece, perhaps even more universal, is the access to private data and information. I mean, that's the other part of the affidavit from this flick. Just talk about how much personal private information the Social Security Administration possesses.
Yeah, well, they possess every earnings that you or I have made since our first summer job that we might have gotten a W-2 for. That's there. It's all in that sort of base COBOL foundation of the IT system that these guys are messing with. But there was another word, you didn't quote it in your quote that you pulled from Ms. Flick's affidavit. She used the term exposing personal data to bad actors. Usually a term that we reserve to people like Russia, China, or people who want to do our country harm. Anybody who has to go through this protection for their own security has to be issued a new Social Security number. So I do believe that these folks are privy to a lot of data that could not only be damaging to us, I mean, in terms of having our accounts hacked and not protecting it. They're also privy to a lot of data that could be very detrimental to the security of our nation. So we should all be very concerned. They are trying to break this agency in order to turn the public against it so they can privatize it, liquidate it, and steal at least a portion or all of the $2.7 trillion that's in the trust fund. People need to rise up.
I want to start with Donald Trump's tariffs, what he said in his joint address last night, just a little more than 24 hours ago.
Tariffs. It's a beautiful word, isn't it? That, along with our other policies, will allow foreign investment to absolutely boom. It's going to boom. Spoke to the majors today, all three top people, and they're so excited.
So excited. The tariffs are going to help the auto industry so much. He knew it wasn't true then. We'd already heard from Ford CEOs to blow a hole in the industry, and here we are 24 later, exemption time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I will say it took longer this time to walk back the tariffs than it did last time. But I mean, if you remember, like just a month ago, people are having a hard time keeping track. Early February, he said on like a Saturday he was going to put them in place on Tuesday, and then by Monday mid-morning they were called off. During his first term, he had threatened to put tariffs on Mexico, and then a few weeks before those were supposed to go into effect, he called them off. I mean, if you're starting to see a pattern, so am I, about how these tariffs work. But I mean, one thing that does remain consistent is that the administration continues to talk about tariffs in one form or another. They have been very consistent so far with the tariffs on China, but those ones did actually go in place, a 10% tariff a month ago. Just the other day, they added to that, so those tariffs are now 20%, so it's not insignificant. And given this latest walk back with the auto industry, yes, that's a big lifesaver, at least for the next month, with the auto industry and all the industries that are dependent on that, like suppliers in Michigan and Ohio. But that doesn't do anything for appliances, electronics coming from Mexico, produce, avocados, berries, tomatoes, not to mention tequila, beer, and then energy products, for example, coming in from Canada. So
even though there's a bit of a reprieve here, the effects are still going to be really widely felt across the economy.
Okay, but let's just stay with the auto industry because the press secretary said during this month, what these automakers can do is sort of re-rack their manufacturing so they can start shifting things that happen in Canada and Mexico to the United States. Like, let's get real. There are not empty factories owned by Ford and GM ready to produce certain parts with auto workers ready to do it. Like, this is impossible. What are we talking about?
Well, I talked to a former industry analyst and someone who worked in the industry as a sort of a buyer on the manufacturing side, and I was asking him about that. I was saying, well, can you just throw a second or third shift on the Silverado plant in the U.S. and start making them there instead of Canada? And he said, no, it's not that easy. Each plant is specifically tailored to make a very specific vehicle. If you want to change that, you need new equipment, you need to reconfigure the plant, you need additional workers, you need to find those workers, you need to train them, you need to, not to mention, pay them higher wages and health care than you do in Canada or Mexico, which is an added cost for companies. Despite the White House acting like this is something the companies can shift over in a few months, the auto industry plans out in years, like 4 years, 10 years, where their production is going to be, what that's going to look like. And so, if they're going to do this, not only is it going to take time, but it's also going to take a lot of money, a big investment. And these companies already operate on relatively thin margins. They're not starving here, but they are on a bit of a tight margin. Prices are very important to consumers, so they're very sensitive to price and the increase. So making that big investment is going to add to higher costs ultimately for consumers.
What? There's 45 zombies remaining? I'm not going to do that. No way! How many did I take out? I already took so many out. That is some bullshit. Alright, I'm dead. No fucking chance. Bunch of bullshit. I don't got enough time.
It's going to be good. Donald Trump doesn't care about the proliferation of drugs because he just pardoned a Silk Road founder and operator. So this is not about drugs. And I think we have to just recognize Donald Trump has no idea what he's doing. None whatsoever when it comes to terrorism. And poor Howard Lennox, what's his name? He has his head on a swivel.
Bunch of bullshit.
And I think what we saw last night of the State of the Union was Donald Trump saying, with all of his showmanship, tariffs are great. They make America great. They give us a strong economy. Well, tariffs are great.
Get out of here, Aslan. Go. Jesus, Aslan. Oh, got a new gun, level 83 now. Huh. That's pretty good.
Welcome to Collecticon Los Angeles. We've got $10,000. We have to walk around and buy a bunch of product for our shop, and because I want to grade some things with tag, and I have some really good ideas on what I want to buy specifically. We're looking for gold stars and shinings. So let's do some deals. Collecticon LA. That's Sylveon V alt art as well. Wow, you have all the prismatics. That's this
pack that someone pulled me today.
That's insane.
Yep.
That Charizard too. Yeah, I'll just see those guys for now. Cool if I pull this out.
Yeah. That's all the pull tabs are pulling.
Perfect. Perfect.
So we're looking at 290, 305, 299.
Man, these are going for that much?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So definitely yes on this one.
Awesome.
You're at 220 on this one.
Yeah.
This where would you put it at? 3?
I'd put it at. Got a little room on it just because I did trade managed cards for them. So like 275.
275, 100, 220.
Something like that.
Yeah, right. 275. Can you do 250, 200, and then full price for that one? 250, 200, that's 550? Sweet, cool. Thank you, bro. Hell yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, you too.
Yes, sir.
Like, obviously, we just bought those 3 Charizards, not as unique, but the one shiny Charizard, cheap, $100, definitely should grade a 10 in tags, which would do good. Can I see this card here? This guy we want to look at. Because the thing is, here's the deal. Japanese grades very well, right? So we're looking at grade cards here. I'll pass on this one for now. Thank you, though. Appreciate you, bro. Okay, wait. So we spotted some things that I'm definitely looking for. We have 2 Koro Shiny Mew right there, these are one of my favorite cards ever printed. So we're going to look at those, and we're going to see what happens with that. So hard to grade. But one of them, he's got it for like 1,200. Jeez, can I see these 2? That's crazy. Thank you. And it's 300 for this Mewtwo? Can I see that as well? Legendary Collection Mewtwo. And is that a Master Ball Umbreon?
Yes.
Is that 225 it's on it?
Yes.
Yeah, let me see that too.
Sure.
And you got Renny Moo? I love that.
You want to check it out?
No, it's good, it's good. Snap. Okay, here's a good. Alright, so Master Ball Japanese Umbreon. Because if this 10s, that's money, baby. And a very, very cool card for the collection. I will say, I might be tripping here, but like, the edges look a little. What happened to this card? We're gonna maybe this one. I don't think it 10s. Now this is what we really want. The Koro Mew. Okay, this one they got up for 1,200 for the raw, which means the quality is probably gonna be pretty good. This looks really good. I don't think it 10s them, unfortunately. Oh, it's so good. It's so clean. God, the back is so good. The only problem I see is up here, there's a little ding up at the top of the card. And that's and right here on the right side too, and that's just enough to knock it down from a 10. So we don't want to pay the 1,200 for that. That's crazy though. So nice. Yeah, this guy too is a little on the damage side. These are so nice though. All right, and then we have the Mewtwo, 300.
Last one was 275. I would check that.
Okay, all right. We're gonna pick this up. Okay, we're gonna take these 3. Yeah, these will be good. These auction really, really well. Cool. Okay, so 90, 60, 150, 225. That is 3. What is the price? 375.
Yes. Oh yeah, I gotta do this on the calculator.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, right?
Can't mess up this one.
I know you priced these 2 because this one's better quality than that one.
Right.
But realistically, neither of them will grade a 10. Can you bring this down to 75 and then I'll pay sticker on the rest?
That's more than
Sweet, okay. Sounds good.
Honestly, it's more of an honor to study email.
Absolutely, bro. Sweet, thank you, man. Yeah, take care.
Yes, sir.
See you, bro. Can I see your Edie Glaceon? Oh, it's you?
Yeah.
How you doing, bro? Yeah, you too.
Edie?
Yeah, this guy back here would be good. Mind if I just pull, or you want to pull? Okay, sweet. Yeah. Just look him over. And then definitely, damn, I don't want to be. Yeah, I'll take all the views to look at him. Yeah. And then the Charizard VMAX top left, and then I'll look at that Umbreon too, that Umbreon EX. Sweet. Okay, for now I'll just check these guys. Sweet. What's up? How you doing? Thank you, bro. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I see this Gengar too? Yeah. You can see that. It's clean. Say thanks, bro.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so got a great spread. We have so many Mew EX. This card has gotten so expensive. And in my opinion, it's always been the best card of Shiny Treasure EX and Paldean Fates. It just took a while for the market to decide that that I was right. But let's see what we got. You might have taken out of the top one. Okay, so we've got some big Chase SIRs. Again, we're looking at grade. That's on the damn, this looks good. Maybe left heavy a little bit. Wow. Oh, okay. Oh, you have top 10s. Oh my god. Bro, no shot. How much are you doing this for? 4,000. 4,000. For, that's in this one? 2,000 on that. That's insane. Congrats to you, bro. Oh, God. I was going to say, funny enough, I'm looking at these 2 great book tags. Oh, I see.
Well, you can buy them matching, no?
Yeah, exactly, right? Fantastic. We love that. Yeah. So, it's, what is it, 8 to 15 day turnaround? Yeah, it's how they usually do it. We're one of their bulk submitters, though, so, like, our experience is much different from the norm, yeah. But we like them a lot. They're good people to work with, you know? I think that's important. Like, the company's ran by good people. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Oh, I'd love to need one of these. Anything on the left, though. Let's see. Okay. Charger every nice, please God. Love this card. I love this card so much. We're gonna buy this one. Okay, so it looks great. We got white spec, bright spec. So we're gonna get a pristine, but I don't think it's heads. But I think we're gonna take it. That Greninja looks really good though. Hey bro, that's insane. Gamer match that's 7.5 raw right now. Higher for a while. What a world. That's awesome. Okay. Right? Now it's asking me to find a Mew that gets 10. Oh, great corner! Why did you do this to me? Dang it. Okay, well, this one is a for sure we'll take.
For me.
Oh, no. I'll take that. Sorry.
Force habit.
I don't think that one's not even 10 though, so I don't know if you want to take this one will 10? Okay, we'll pass on and then. I've got it at the 9 first. Anything else that's like mad unique? Oh, it's new Mewtwo GX. That was so tight. Oh, you have tested Mewtwo. Oh. Just the new Mewtwo GX would be good. Pass it on this one. Yeah, thank you. Just the Mewtwo. That would be great. Yeah.
At this point, I don't care if it's fucking acorns.
Oh, I
As
got
long as the job
yeah,
gets
these
done.
ones. Okay, if I bought all these, we would get for 720, $100 off the lot. And then this.
Was that so hard?
I'll pay sticker for that. $100 off the sticker for that. I would do 750. 750, we're next to 720. Okay, we did that though, it probably has to come down to 3.
I'm gonna take like $20 on that basement CDs for me.
Sure.
I'm gonna turn you into fire star.
720 here and then
Yes. Yeah.
Can you come up a little bit on this?
720. 725. What do you need it to be?
Like 90%.
You need to be at 90?
I'd like 90.
What would 90 be?
738.
738. You do 730? In the middle there? Wait. Thank you. 730. 1130. Right? Mental math is not my game. Okay.
Another day, another tariff threat, along with a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum. As of Wednesday, copper is now on the list. It was mentioned by the U.S. Commerce Secretary as almost a footnote.
The president wants steel and aluminum in America. And let me be clear, nothing's going to stop that until we've got a big, strong, domestic steel and aluminum capability. And by the way, he's going to add copper to that mix.
The province says it's reviewing the latest tariff threat and what it means for BC's economy. Turns out, it might not be a whole lot. A BC-based copper producer says there are just over half a dozen copper mines operating in this province, and they produce copper concentrate, which needs to be refined and smelted.
That smelting activity happens in Asia. So our Gibraltar mine, like all the other copper mines in BC, we export our product to Asia. We're quite well insulated from the U.S. Market and
I'm joined now by Congressman Jamie Raskin. Thanks so much for joining.
The pleasure is mine, Brian.
So we have seen numerous efforts by Elon Musk to try and kind of circumvent the law and tell the courts and tell the government two different things. That effort has kind of backfired at this point. Can you explain the move that you just made?
Well, they were trying to squeeze out of any kind of responsibility or accountability by saying that they just reported directly to the president, and they weren't actually a federal agency. But they were a federal entity. The courts ruled that they were indeed a federal agency because they read their own statements and professions that they had all kinds of power over the budget to be targeting different entities and so on. So in any event, we've got district court rulings now that they are a federal agency. Well, one of the implications of being a federal agency is you're subject to FOIA. And all federal agencies and departments have got to give us, the American people, we own the government, the data about us. Now, most departments and agencies have been vigilant about protecting the security and the privacy of people's information, but everybody's freaking out about Elon Musk and Doge having control over their data because he, of course, is trying to train his whole artificial intelligence system, Grok. He's trying to create, he's trying to turn X into a financial payment system. I mean, you know, like everybody else in the Trump administration, the cabinet.
Whoa! What is that?
Government leader, an official, an employee, and also run a private corporation and get money from the government.
You don't know nothing about that. Ooh.
It's been a busy couple of weeks for the stocks and shares market, hasn't it? Goodness me, a bit of a wobble would be an understatement. With gold and silver doing exactly what you would want them to do, be that safe haven asset. Indeed, even growing in value over these last couple of tumultuous weeks. But with any crazy world and market comes the risk. The fear of missing out. Is now the time to sell your gold and silver and buy stocks and shares? Believe it or not, that's what some people have said. I don't think that that is the right thing to do, but I'm not here to tell you exactly what to do with your money. You should have a good long hard think about what is right for you, despite what many influencers might say about, for example, tariffs on Canadian products like the maples. Will that push these prices up and over? I don't know. I don't think so. It's crazy. The world is crazy. Let's dive in and have a good old precious metal ramble. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Welcome to another Precious Metal Ramble, where we have down-to-earth discussions about all things precious and shiny. Now, it's been a busy couple of weeks for the world. Stock market's having a bit of a wobble is maybe an understatement, but it is certainly a little bit tumultuous. Trade wars, trade tariffs happening. Will Canadian maples, like the ones here on this table, suddenly command a massive premium? We'll talk about that and a little bit more, including my favourite topic of all, which is FOMO, fear of missing out. In the crazy TikTok era that we're in, of attention spans being no longer than about 20 seconds, you get a lot of media out there that calls for, because stocks are down, perhaps it's time to buy them. Perhaps also now's the time to buy silver and gold from Handily Dandily, a nice affiliate bonus code link down there. And now's the time to buy Maple Leafs because of those pesky Trump tariffs, or Libertads. Either way, there's a link in the description box below, and you can get your deals there and fill other people's pockets with those commissions. Fear of missing out is a real thing. It's been a real thing ever since I started making videos here on YouTube, and I've always done my level best to talk about it from a realistic perspective. I've been there. I've panic bought, I've panic sold, and generally speaking, you live to regret it. You've got to make rational decisions about your own finances, about your own situations. And I want to talk a little bit about that today and share some of my thoughts. This is not financial advice. You know, everybody is free and willing to do whatever they want, but it's all about risk and risk management for me. And it always has been. It's about trying to work out what is right. And whilst, yes, we have seen evidence in the last few weeks that silver and gold are most assuredly smaller on the risk scale than stocks and shares. If you just look at the performance of gold and silver over these last few weeks compared with the stock markets, you cannot argue with the fact that holding gold and silver is just way safer. But over a longer period of time, stocks and shares have proven to do better. Whether they still will in the future is anybody's guess, but having diversity is so important. That is the key thing. So, a lot to get through, and I'd love to know what you think down in the comment section. So please feel free to share your thoughts on the current situations. Are you buying Maples? Are you buying Libertans? Are you buying gold? Are you buying silver? Or are you selling your gold and silver? Because, as you may have heard on some social media platforms, there are huge buying opportunities out there for stocks and shares. And certainly in this crazy, Bitcoin, for example, cryptocurrencies are down. Now is the time to stack up and buy them, surely. It's just this kind of mentality of fear of missing out and this whole TikTok era of attention spans and wanting your gold and silver, or wanting any investment that you make, not just gold and silver, to be that one thing that's going to make you a millionaire. As Del Boy and Rodney says in Only Fools and Horses, maybe only you Brits out there will know the reference. We'll be millionaires next year, Rodders, because of any decisions that you might make. And often those can be biased, those can be influenced by influencers. The word influencer is there for a reason, and I'm not a massive fan of that phrase. I don't like it, but unfortunately any content creator has a social responsibility of that influence. And whether or not subliminally I've been, that's a hard word to say on YouTube, subliminally, I have been influencing you to buy gold and silver. In fact, I know I have, because when I went to Germany and I met a lot of people at the World Money Fair, a lot of them said that I was the reason they got into gold and silver in the first place, or that they are buying certain coins because I show them, and it's scary. It really is scary. What I will say, though, from my own experience and perspective is, if you are buying something,
Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. Hope you're doing well. It's a bit hard to know where to start today's video. We got a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of fear and uncertainty out there right now, not entirely unwarranted. On one hand, you've got all these geopolitical changes that are playing out rapidly before our eyes. There's a lot of concern about tariffs and trade wars, and we're told that that's going to take on this economy, while simultaneously we've seen just a sea of red over the past several trading sessions, huge chunks of value lost on many of these riskier assets, and yet despite that, many of these risky assets were made at valuations that historically are at the very high end of the spectrum. So we've already seen a lot of value lost over several trading sessions. There's still a long way to go if you get a market crash or a major market correction. And the metals are holding up very well. They've been a bright spot amongst this bloodbath that we've been witnessing. Today, we've gotten a bit of a reprieve for assets across the board as a result of a cooler than expected inflation report. We'll take a look at that and the CPI and see what that indicates moving forward for us. But also, I'm getting this feeling right now, this is just a feeling, so take all of this with a grain of salt. It feels like we're on the cusp of a major change in how people perceive safe haven assets like physical gold, more specifically physical silver. And I have a feeling that we are one major financial event today from a big shift in the physical market for retail bullion products. We could see, at the drop of a hat, a major influx of the retail investing public into these products. So I want to delve into that today as well, and we'll take a look at the charts of gold and silver and kind of tell you what I'm talking about and why I think that's the case. Now, it's not without precedent, and it could be very important for stackers. Again, we've got a lot to cover today, so let's get to it. Buy your gold and silver at SD Bullion. Right now, new customers can get gold or silver at spot by visiting sdbullion.com/new. Hey, have you signed up for my free e-newsletter, the Stacker Report? If not, make sure you check out the link down in the description. When you sign up, you can get a free copy of this, the Smart Stacker Guide, including costly silver and bullion mistakes. It comes as a PDF in the welcome email, so make sure you check that out. Now, today we got a bit of a reprieve from the market sell-off that we have been experiencing over the past several trading sessions, and it was because of this, the CPI report. So the CPI data came in softer than expected. You can see now we have a year-over-year core CPI of 3.1% and headline CPI of 2.8%. And this is notable because this is actually the lowest core CPI data going all the way back to April of 2021, when it was at 3%. And the reason this is giving us a bit of a reprieve is because this suggests that the Federal Reserve will have more room, or wiggle room, if you will, to ease monetary policy and to cut rates moving forward. And in these markets, still, the biggest thing driving the price action is the anticipation of what the Federal Reserve is going to do next. Now, despite the fact that the official CPI data is cooling off, I don't have a lot of confidence that inflation is going away. If you want to know why, it's because according to the most recent data here from the U.S. Treasury, from January, the monthly deficit was still $129 billion, and year-to-date for fiscal year 2025, the cumulative deficit thus far, $850 billion. U.S. national debt still at $36.5 billion and growing, and therefore I suspect that we have not seen the end of inflation. And yet, the NASDAQ today, at the time I'm recording this video, up about 1.5%. Stocks across the board, in fact, are in the green. Gold and silver, we'll get to those charts in just a moment. Those are also heavily in the green. But let's talk about the NASDAQ real quick and the risks of this market sell-off, which has been front and center on everybody's mind over the past several trading sessions, because it's been a sea of red. We've seen a lot of the riskier assets out there selling off in a big way. A lot of people's 401ks, stock portfolios, retirement accounts, everything taking a big hit. And despite the fact that we are getting a reprieve, just looking at this 1 month chart here of the NASDAQ, you can see that back in February, we were above 20,000 on the NASDAQ. Today, where are we at? 17,700. So a lot of value has been lost. Trillions in market cap has been shaved away over the course of the past several weeks. But still, when you look at this, this is the Shiller PE ratio. This is of the S&P 500, and this is based on the cyclically adjusted PE ratio. This is a measure of valuations of stocks that kind of takes into account inflation-adjusted earnings over the course of the previous 10 years. So it kind of smooths out some of that data and allows you to compare data over long periods of time in a meaningful way. You can see that we are still very, very high in terms of valuations. Yes, we've come down from the peak that we were at maybe last month, but still, if we do get a market crash, we still have a long way to go down. In fact, you can see that right now the Shiller PE ratio for the S&P 500 is still higher than it was back in 1929, and the only time that really this ratio exceeds where we currently are was in the tech bubble of the late 1990s. So valuations for these paper assets remain incredibly rich. There is still a lot of risk in these markets, but let's examine the charts of precious metals, because that's not really the case with gold and silver. Yes, gold is trading near all-time highs, but I think that there's a justification for that. There's a lot of reasons for that. Silver, even though it's up something like 40% year over year, it still remains very undervalued. Silver has been a bright spot amongst this market sell-off that we have been witnessing over the past several weeks. The price of silver hanging in there very well, actually, in this sort of a pan sell-off event that we have been witness to here. Today, the price of silver, the spot price, up over $33 on the soft inflation data that we got with that CPI report. Now, this is very important because the $33 level in silver is psychologically a very important one, and a very important one from the standpoint of technical analysis. I'm going to zoom this out, and you can see that it was back in October when we had the spot price of silver pushing $35, right? That was the highest price in over a decade. We were all getting very excited about the fact that silver could really be breaking out, maybe to meet record all-time highs soon. But then we got the smackdown, right? We got smacked down into 2025. The silver price actually got down as low as the 28s. And we've recovered a lot since then. And today, notably, if it close around the level where silver is trading right now, above $33, will be the first close above $33 of 2025. You notice that we did actually get an intraday move above 33 back in February. It was kind of a fake out. We got a smackdown on that day. That was on Friday, February 14th. You can see silver actually posting a red on that day. It's 3 o'clock, close to 3 o'clock right now at the time I'm recording this video, so we have just a little over an hour to go before markets close. There's a good chance we could actually close above $33. It will be the first close, as I mentioned, above 33 in 2025, and it will also be the highest closing price since October of 2024, when silver was approaching that $35 level, and that's why this is so important. I think it's also important to note that as we have seen riskier assets like tech stocks, paper assets, and even cryptocurrency to some extent selling off over the past several weeks, silver has been a bit of a bright spot. It's in some ways it's because silver is a insurance policy, especially the physical kind that you can hold in your hand. One thing that you probably noticed if you're a stacker, when you wake up and you see that the Dow is down.
Good morning. Let's bring White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt. I want to get to Ukraine in just a moment, but first of all, Caroline, some pretty good news on the inflation front. A surprising report that during his first full month of his presidency, inflation dropped to 2.8% year-over-year, reduction of 0.2% month over month. The president also pointed out a moment ago with the Taoiseach of Ireland, Michael Martin, that prices are down 30% in recent days. And oil sits right now at about $67 a barrel. And that's something that consumers really care about.
Yeah, that's right, John. And it's a promise that President Trump is keeping to the American people. This administration is wholeheartedly focused every single day on driving down costs for the American people through massive deregulatory efforts and, of course, by unleashing American energy dominance, which we know will end the inflation nightmare created by the previous administration. And this CPI report today is welcome news, and it's not what the so-called experts or the mainstream media predicted. They continue to cast doubt on President Trump and his economic agenda, even though he has a proven record of it working in his first term. And if you look at that report today, inflation has gone down. The core inflation index is actually the lowest it's been in 4 years. Gas prices have fallen. Airline fares have fallen. And also today, we saw two massive companies announce new investments in manufacturing in the United States of America. The Japanese beer company Asahi announced new manufacturing, new jobs in Wisconsin. All of these companies are realizing that the United States of America is the best place to do business, the lowest taxes in the world. That's what they will have under this president.
Caroline, speaking of oil, for years, since 2022, the Treasury Department has been issuing this waiver. It's Russian General License 8L that allows other countries to continue to buy Russian oil using the U.S. dollar, the U.S. payment system. Biden's waiver expired at midnight last night. Did the president renew it? Because if he didn't, it could send oil prices up by $5 a barrel.
Well, I don't know whether the president did or not. From my understanding, he hasn't, Jackie, but I can definitely double check and get back with you. I would defer you also to the Department of Treasury. But when it comes to Russia right now, as you know, the president's team continues to be in correspondence with the Russians. In fact, our National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz, had a call with his Russian counterpart today in pursuit of ending this war and striking a peace deal with Russia and with Ukraine. We had great progress on that front yesterday with the Secretary of State and our National Security Advisor having those peace talks in Saudi Arabia. The Ukrainians have finally agreed to a ceasefire and have agreed to this long-term peace plan. And we expect, we hope, and we urge the Russians to do the same. And our team is currently working on getting this done.
So in recent days, up until recent days, I guess, the president was being criticized for abandoning Ukraine, siding with Putin. Now a ceasefire appears to be potentially within grasp. What's the over and under there at the White House as to whether or not Putin bites on this?
Well, we certainly hope that he does. And again, our team has been working diligently on negotiating a peace plan that works for both sides to finally end this war. And in any good plan, any good deal, both sides are going to be a little bit happy about some things and maybe unhappy about others. But that's how you negotiate a good deal. And that's what the Secretary of State Rubio and our National Security Advisor were working hard on yesterday in Saudi Arabia. And again, this is about long-term peace and stability. And look at the tremendous progress that has been made by President Trump and this incredible team. I mean, before President Trump came into office, there was zero chance of a peace deal. Nobody was even talking about that. The only talk about this war in the United States was about sending more blank checks for the American taxpayer who are incredibly tired of funding this effort. And so it's only because of the leadership of President Trump and his peace through strength approach, which the American people and the whole world did see on display in front of the cameras in that Oval Office meeting with Zelensky that we are now at a place, we are on the 10th yard line of peace in this nearly 3-year-long war. Thousands of people have died, and President Trump is working hard to end the bloodshed, and now it's up to the Russians to agree to this plan.
Caroline, you mentioned that Mike Waltz had a phone call with his counterpart, and I'm hoping you might be able to shed some light on a Bloomberg report that just crossed. It said that Russian officials hadn't discussed with the U.S. The agreement that was agreed to in Saudi Arabia, and that they find that framework unacceptable, saying that they'll need to ask for their own conditions before agreeing to any sort of a truce. But we've seen in the past, Russia has made a series of demands, including that Ukraine should become a neutral nation, seize the territory that it's already occupying, reduce the size of its military. This is sort of predictable from Russia. What was the response plan from the U.S. side if this was the answer that came out?
Well, I won't comment on that report, which was based on anonymous sources, nor will I get ahead of these negotiations with Russia. Again, our team is actively engaged. Mr. Witkoff, Steve Witkoff, the president's special envoy, is making his way to Moscow this week, again, to urge the Russians to sign on to this negotiation, and we hope that they will.
All right, so let's move on to tariffs, because while we had some good news on the economy with inflation going down, a lot of people are seeing that the tariffs are a ticking time bomb. Canada just announced that it's going to levy another $21 billion in retaliatory tariffs on the United States. A lot of that is going to be in sports gear, consumers as well. Could it possibly be, Carol, that when these tariffs start to bite, that the progress that we saw in terms of lowering inflation goes the other way once it's done?
Well, this administration is blocking and chewing gum at the same time. The president is effectively utilizing tariffs, not just as a negotiating tactic, but actually implementing them, as we saw with the 25% tariff on steel and aluminum, to bolster those industries here in the United States, to advance our national security interests, to create good-paying jobs here at home. And you've actually seen the steel and aluminum industries applaud those tariffs as being good for their manufacturing, for their revenue, and for their workers, most importantly. And so the president will continue to effectively utilize tariffs while, again, driving down the cost of living in this country. Both things can happen at the same time. Just look at President Trump's first term as an example.
I'm happy to report that Congressman John Larson is definitely back and at full strength. He has been eating his proverbial Wheaties. He appears to be very hydrated, very energized, and may I suggest you get out of his way. Watch this.
Men and women on this committee are good people. They're honest and caring people. And that's why I do not understand why you would relegate this committee to no longer being of significance and resort to saying you will do whatever Elon Musk and Donald Trump tell you to do. Where's the independence of the committee? Where's the legislature? We're an equal branch of government. And you start off with a blather, and yet when you look at the empty seats here, where's Elon Musk? I'm sure he's a genius. He's a very credible person because of the wealth he's accumulated. But that does not put him above the law or the responsibility to come before this committee in this Congress. If he's so great, if these plans and all the government abuse that he found are so good, why isn't he here explaining it? You know why. Because he's out to privatize Social Security. He's been on television the last couple of days talking exactly about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and what he intends to do. Privatize it. The American people, some of them may have been born at night, but not last night. People are aware of this. Every single one of your districts. Now you have someone coming in to privatize a system, something you have longed to do going back to 1982. because Elon Musk thinks that this is the best thing to do? President Trump has called Social Security a scam. Elon Musk, as Mr. Neil said, called it a Ponzi scheme. Ask that of the people in your district. Ask that, Mr. Smith, of the more than 198,000 people in your district who rely on Social Security, and you won't even let the person who's planning to privatize it, who's telling the big lie in front of everybody, if bold as he possibly can, say, this is what we're going to do, but Congress is in our back pocket, we don't even have to come before them and testify, because we control the House, we control the Senate, and we control the presidency. And it's the tyranny of the executive. It's why these resolutions were first adopted back in 1789. Because the founding fathers knew that the executive branch does not have total authority over a legislature unless you have a willing party that says, no, we're going to do exactly what you tell us to do, Mr. Musk and Mr. President. It doesn't matter to our constituents. It doesn't matter how much money they are not going to receive. We're not even going to tell them the truth about what's going to happen to them. They administer to over 70 million people in the nation's number 1 equality program for the elderly and children. Shame! Shame! Can't bring people in front of this body. If he's right, if they're so good, if they're so just, why aren't they here telling the American people about it? They're not, because you know the truth. It's about privatization. Hey, you
It's better Democratic Congressman John Larson of Connecticut just ripping the bark off today about Social Security and what Republicans are doing. And indeed, as he was ripping that bark off in Congress, look at what the Washington Post was publishing just down the road. Quote, Social Security facing a pressure from bill to raise big cuts to phone service. Agency considers ending phone program that is used by millions of elderly and disabled Americans. One gobsmacked Social Security Administration of you to underestimate that this radical change, this radical cut to services that they were moving on it, and the administration thought would be the single largest service disruption in agency history ever. The single largest service disruption in Social Security ever. Elon Musk's plan for Social Security was to, quote, end telephone service for claims processing, instead directing elderly and disabled people to the internet and to in-person field offices. Quote, the agency's toll-free number is a mainstay for older customers who do not have access to navigating the internet. 30% of claims that get made to Social Security are made for people using this phone line that Elon Musk now wants.
We're the Jewish heroes.
40% of the claims.
That hurts my feelings. Don't say that. That hurts my feelings. Are you the government? Are you watching me? You're the government. The government's watching me. You're gang stalking me. Stop gang stalking me. I'm going to tell my friends on YouTube that you're gang stalking me. That's not okay. And you're hurting my feelings. I'm the Jewish hero. I'm the Jewish hero. And you're the government.
Comes as Donald Trump is fired.
In the meantime, let's switch gears to another Fox News alert. The Trump administration's new 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports going into effect at midnight while you're sleeping. And
Where's
the European
Evan Rekha
Union
at?
responded with retaliatory tariffs.
He's been crying on someone else's YouTube channel. If you go to his YouTube channel, he keeps replying to someone that has gang stalking in their name. And he said that the government keeps watching him. So that's where he is. He's trying to hide away from the government. The government is spying on Evan Recca even while he's at his dad's gravesite. Absolutely despicable. The government needs to leave Evan Recca alone. Why are they spying on him?
Faster than a psychotic 9-year-old. Tuck and sticky.
Ah. Ah.
Un-U.S. stuff. Introduce some good stuff.
Good morning, and yes, the White House was on a row of embedded trade war correspondence. And the latest $28 billion in tariffs from the EU are mostly targeting red states. Things like motorcycles and peanut butter and jeans could all be affected. But things are changing very quickly. We saw yesterday.
Alright, fuck this shit. I'm out of here.
Hello, everyone. We've got a lot to discuss today. People think the stock market is crashing, but I'm going to prove to you it's not. Inflation just came in lower than expected, and the U.S. and Canadian economy should merge. We're live today from the desk of Anthony Pompliano. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a big favor to ask you. Please don't go read mainstream financial news headlines today. If you do, you're going to be told the world's ending. And you're also going to be told that the market is crashing. You're going to see doom and gloom everywhere. And if you aren't careful, you may believe that asset prices are destined to fall forever and that your portfolio will never recover. But of course, this is all nonsense. Don't listen to the noise.